In this video, I'm going to show you the complete Instagram funnel that I use to get 120K followers and generate more than $100K in profit per month from coaching clients and digital products. It's the same funnel I use that got Julia to wire me 48K euros, which is more than 55K USD. And it is the same funnel business owners pay us tens of thousands to install, and by the end of this video, you'll have it for free. And I'm not just gonna give you basic advice like post reels or use these hooks. Instead, let's dive into step one of the step-by-step plan to turn your Instagram into consistent profit. Step one is client generating content. The entire Instagram funnel is optimized around these posts, which is why we must cover this style of content first. Because when you get this right, you don't need to have huge long DM conversations back and forth forever or have a really complicated set of websites and ads. Client generating content is very simple. In fact, it's so simple most people completely overlook it, which is great for you because your competitors likely aren't doing it, but you will be. So on the screen, there are two pieces of client generating content that I wrote for my clients. Both are less than 50 words, and each one made more than $20,000 from that one individual post. And the reason why this style of content works is because you give in public and you sell in private, giving you the ability to build up more goodwill and market appetite for your offer. So the client generating content framework, or template, if you will, is where first you call out your ideal client. Second, you call out their known outcome or problem. And let me be clear, this must be top of mind for them. And third, you state how many clients you're taking on and what you're gonna do with them. And in this part, it's critical that it's no more than 20 words. Don't mention the name of your program. You'll see in the examples, it's more or less quite vague, because the fourth step is the call to action, where you get people to reply with the word info so you can chat and see if it's a fit. Now, I would suggest that you grab your phone, fill in the blanks, and make this post right now. Because if you post it and you get nobody replying, it means all the other content that you're spending time on right now is more or less a waste of time, because it shows that you may be getting some views and reach, but it's not views and reach from the right people who are actually gonna convert on the offers that you put out. That is why client generating content is so valuable, because when you see what actually gets people to raise their hand and comment or message you the word info, then you know what your audience is actually interested in. And from there, it's really as simple as just reaching more of those similar kinds of people into your audience. Those people are people that have actual intent of wanting to work with you, not just interest. And there is a massive difference between interest and intent. And if right now you're getting a lot of people messaging you who then end up ghosting you or wasting your time, it means they may be interested, but they don't have the intent to actually invest in working with you. Because what intent really means is that they're actively looking to solve the problem that they have got, and they're looking to pay to get it solved. Next, we need to talk about step two, which is lead generation posts. Now, you've probably seen those posts where there's hundreds of comments from people wanting to get a freebie. Don't feel like you need to set up some really complicated freebie in order to do this. You could literally just have what I call a minimum viable freebie, which is where in the DMs, you just send a few bullet points of value, and you can do that without needing a complicated webinar or anything like that. In fact, one of my clients, April, who is a sales consultant, she generated more than $60,000 without having a lead magnet. People just commented the word, and then she sent them a DM with a copied and pasted message, because the goal of getting people to comment a keyword on your post is to start a conversation. And after you send them the freebie, whether it's a minimum viable freebie or an actual lead magnet like a PDF or webinar or whatever, you want to then ask them an open-ended question with 3 potential options so that it makes it really easy for them to reply. Just like this example, you say their name and then you say, hey, here are 3 high protein recipes. The first one, the second one, the third one, and importantly, you ask, are you looking to gain muscle, tone up, or lose weight? And they have some other ideas to help, because that way, after they've responded, you can then move into the next step, which I'll be talking about in a moment. But before that, I need to talk about the third step, which is a totally optional one, but it's definitely wise if you are looking to scale to 100K months from Instagram. And it's having someone who's in charge of lead generation via your DMs. So they're typically referred to as a DM setter, and they're gonna be looking out for potential leads and tracking and replying to your other DMs. So I'll explain how to do that in a second, but let me be clear, you don't want a virtual assistant to do this. If you're serving an English-speaking market, the best DM setters that I found are either somewhere in Europe or South America, because they tend to have a better conversational tone and can pick out what an ideal client looks like more easily. And as a side note, if you're above 100K per month right now, you can do a bunch of really cool stuff with lead scoring. Anyway, what your DM setter is going to be looking out for is people that are commenting questions on your posts, people that are often hearting your stories or liking your posts, people that start following you, they can reach out to 200 of those per day, depending upon how warm your account is. But the general KPI would be 200 per day. And then the rest of the time, they could be accepting new connections on Facebook and LinkedIn. But that's a different video for a different day. And the best way for them to reach out is simply by acknowledging something. For example, if somebody followed you, just acknowledge that they followed. Check their page and then ask an open-ended question that is directly related to them. So you don't want your setter to say something like, thanks for following me. Are you looking to lose weight? No, that's a closed-ended question where they could answer yes or no. Instead, an open-ended question would be more like this. Tara, your daughter's graduation ceremony looked beautiful. Just saw you pop up in my new followers tab, and I'm working on some new content for the rest of the month. Just wondering, what specifically inspired you to join the party over here? Are you looking to tone up, shred fat, or get more healthy? Looking forward to hearing from you. Okay, so that would be an example of a really good message, because that way you're asking an open-ended question with 3 easy responses, and most of the time, if they're a really good potential lead, they will say all of the above, which then allows you to start the conversation. Which brings me on to step 4 of the Instagram funnel, which is when you're actually having a conversation with somebody. So there are 3 deadly mistakes that I see people make when doing this. The first mistake is speaking to the wrong people, because there is a huge difference between a lead and a prospect. A lead is someone who has a problem that you can solve or a goal that you can help them with, whereas a prospect is someone who actually has the intent of wanting to become your client. You should spend your time on prospects and not leads, because when someone responds to your client generating content, they say the word info, which obviously gets a high intent driven prospect into your world. Whereas if someone responds to the initial outreach message that your appointment setter has sent to them, you now have a lead, because you need to get a little bit more information from them to see if they're actually a prospect. So you don't want to start inviting someone to become your client if they're just a lead, not a prospect. And if you know that they are a prospect, you don't want to make a second mistake, which is not tracking them. When you know someone actually has the intent of wanting to work with you, you absolutely must put them on what I call a hit list. A hit list is a list of all of your prospects stored and organized. I made a separate YouTube video about this and how to follow up with all those leads properly, and I'll leave that as the first link in the description box. Because the third mistake I see people making is having a huge long conversation back and forth, and while that used to work pretty well in 2020 and 2021, nowadays people know the drill. So instead, you want to just cut straight to it. Because step 5 is as soon as you have a prospect, you want to send them the magic line and get them out of the DMs as quickly as possible. The magic line is your invitation to the next step, which essentially is where you say, it seems like we found each other at a great time, because right now I am taking on a small number of people who are looking to do exactly that. So what are 2 times you're available today or tomorrow to have a quick 5 to 10 minute chat and see if it's a fit. So the reason why the magic line works so well is because it's super low pressure. You're not saying, yeah, we can definitely help you. In fact, I want you to ban yourself from ever saying that again, because you don't know if you can definitely help them. You might get on the call with them and find out that they are not a good fit at all, or not someone that you like. And at that point, if they say the time, you just book them in and then you do a quick 10 to 15 minute call to qualify them. And when you're on the 10 to 15 minute qualification call, either you continue the call and extend it right then and there into a full sales call, or you stop the call after the 15 minutes is up and schedule a second call to happen either the same day or the next day. But that's why I like having a DM setter in charge of this whole process, because then you can get them to the point where they're the ones that they are taking this qualification call and not you. Because when you're making at least 30K a month, you definitely shouldn't be taking these qualification calls yourself. These are calls with leads. And as a business owner, you want to be focusing on the prospects. So after someone has been qualified, those are the ones that you want to be taking onto the sales call before you have closes in place. So then let's say you send them the magic line and they ghosted you, or they comment the word info and then they ghost you after that, then there's no problem, because let me give you the next step, which is step 6, which is the ghost busting cadence. Again, this is why I like having one person full-time on top of the DMs, because it can get kind of a lot as your audience starts to grow. And the daily workflow is as follows. 1, you would open up the hit list. 2, go through all of the leads and drop a heart inside of the last message that they sent you, because that notifies them and then bumps the conversation without you needing to send another message. You do that once a day for 3 days, and if you're still getting ghosted after 3 days, follow up 3 days later with value-added follow-up. And what value-added follow-up is where you send them a resource that would help them. So let's say they were looking to lose weight. You wouldn't be like, hey, just following up or just checking in. Never do that, okay? That kills the conversation and it makes you look desperate. Instead, you'd say, by the way, Tara, I just dug up this training that breaks down the 3 steps to losing weight during menopause. And based upon what you told me, it should really help you. Step 7, which is the offer cyclone. Again, the video that I linked in the description box basically breaks down how to use the offer cyclone and do it fully, but I'll give you a quick overview here. So what the offer cyclone is that you go back to every lead that has ever expressed interest in wanting to work with you. So either they've responded to one of your pieces of client generating content, or in the DMs, they have been somebody who has been asking questions or having a chat about actually becoming a client, or they've said that they have a problem or a goal, the type of thing that you can help with. Now remember, this is why it's so important to track them on a hit list like I spoke about earlier. If you're not keeping a hit list with their names and the direct links to their social media platforms, because they might change their username, remember, so you want to put the direct link onto either a spreadsheet or in a CRM. If you're not doing that, you definitely should be, okay? And I'll leave a link to the CRM that I use in the description box, because you're literally gonna go back to everybody on that list once a month and say, are you still looking to outcome, whatever it says. And in the outcome section, you'd put whatever they said they were looking for. And then the next month after that, you'd ask them, are you still looking to overcome problem? And then finally, something happens, the stars align, and they eventually are finally ready, okay? Because then from there, the 8th step of the Instagram funnel is ensuring that you're putting out new content that's gonna reach more of the right people. Again, you need to get the client generating content and the sales piece dialed in first, because you don't wanna optimize the entire system around content that's not gonna get people to convert. As an example, I have a client that for a really long time was helping people with vegan diets, but it was really not scaling. Her following was stuck around 300 followers. And then she niched into reversing type 2 diabetes. She dialed in the client generating content around there. And since then, her audience has grown from 300 followers to now more than 200,000 followers on Instagram alone, more than 800,000 on TikTok, and more than 80,000 on YouTube. And the reason why her audience has grown is what I call brainwave inception. And it's essentially where your content needs to meet your potential client's narrative that is already going through their head right now. So you should not be telling them what to do and what not to do. Instead, you should be speaking to the story that's already going through their mind. So if you haven't already, make the client generating content post right now, then watch the video about the offer cyclone so you can start making a ton of money from Instagram. So I'll see you over on the next video all about the offer cyclone.